Coming up, the police failures that probably contributed to the deaths of 3 young gay men at the hands of a serial killer.
ITV Lunchtime News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. The Prime Minister has full confidence in his top aide, his spokesperson says, after ITV News revealed allegations that the government's press chief had made a speech at that alleged Christmas party at Downing Street last year. The Minister for Small Business has confirmed that if rules were broken, then disciplinary action will follow. At the end of a difficult week, Boris Johnson is now facing backlash from some of his own MPs over Plan B rules brought in from today. More on Plan B in a moment, but first the latest from our political correspondent, Carl Dinham. So, Carl, a pretty difficult week for the Prime Minister. Next week he faces this vote on Plan B restrictions.
Yeah, he's had an absolutely...
Well, from today, face masks are compulsory in most indoor venues in England. It's part of a new government measures to slow the spread of the Omicron variant. And in the last hour, the government says there is growing evidence of vaccine escape from that variant, which could potentially lead to more hospitalisations and deaths. I'm joined now by Dr. Sarah Jarvis, our regular here on Lunchtime News. Dr. Sarah, this is very worrying that we're hearing this now from the government, that there seems to be more evidence of this variant evading the vaccine. We know that this is more transmissible. You mentioned there Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, talking about potential tsunami of infection. Again, incredibly worrying. We're also hearing a lot of talk about trust and compliance, though, aren't we, when we're talking about Plan B and these new rules in England. As a medical practitioner, are you worried that people are going to be less likely to follow new stricter rules now? Next is Lunchtime. Police failings probably contributed to the murders of 3 young gay men in East London. An inquest has concluded in the last hour. Still to come. But first, the American actor Jussie Smollett has been found guilty of lying to police that he was the victim of a racist, homophobic attack. Prosecutors in Chicago said he staged the attack against himself, paying 2 brothers to carry it out. Well, Smollett stood by his denials, but the jury didn't believe him. He could now face years in prison. Sangeeta Candola reports. Now, back in the summer, the plight of Geronimo, the alpaca, gripped the nation. Despite numerous court battles, protest farm in Gloucestershire, Rupert.
Well,
now, panto is an essential part of the festive calendar, but for many families last year, COVID, of course, put a stop to it. Not to be deterred, former Blue Peter presenter Peter Duncan filmed the panto Jack and the Beanstalk in his back garden to be played at cinemas. Peter joins us now. Peter, thanks so much. I'm just watching that, feeling all festive. Another year, another panto, but not so much in your back garden. It's an upscale production this time, isn't it? Quickly, if you can, a lot of, this is a time of year when a lot of schools will be doing their nativity productions, won't they? And a lot of them having to do them once again on Zoom this year. So, your advice for those schools that are doing it via Zoom to make it the best show possible for parents and the kids to enjoy when they're watching it.
Yeah, nativity plays are what...
And before we go, we've just got enough time to tell you that last night was the Daily Mirror People's Pet Award, celebrating animals who've saved lives and overcome remarkable odds. Well, last night, Robert Schuldrier, whose dog Flora was honoured, had an extra surprise for his partner, Mark Wilson, when he got up on stage. It really was. That is it. I'll be back here with the evening news at 6:30. The news where you are follows the national weather. But for now, from everyone here on the Lunchtime team, bye-bye. Hello again. Now the main stories in London, and as you've just been hearing, failings by the Metropolitan Police probably contributed to the murders of 3 young gay men in East London. An inquest has concluded in the last hour. COVID is continuing to spread across the capital, with more than 44,500 cases recorded in just a week. Police are appealing for information after a woman was reported missing by her colleague last Friday. The Mayor of London is warning that Londoners could face severe disruption to bus and tube services unless the government urgently increases their funding. Sadiq Khan has just... And a reminder that if you are using the Underground this weekend, your journey may be disrupted by ongoing strike action on the tube overnight. TfL warned there will be severe disruption on the Central and Victoria lines from 7 o'clock this evening. Finally, a Marks & Spencer's store in East London has gone viral after its employees recorded their own Christmas song. OK, it's chilly out there, but the sun is still shining. Let's take a look at the weather. Here's Holly. That's all from us for now. We are back with the latest at 6. Until then, whatever you're doing, enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye. A warning, tougher measures may be needed to curb the spread of Omicron. It's
Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. The government warned tonight it isn't ruling out further coronavirus restrictions in England as fears increase over the spread of the Omicron variant. The UK's Health Security Agency predicts the new variant will be the dominant strain within days. New COVID infections are already at their highest level since January. Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, said her country was facing a tsunami of infections and today introduced tougher new measures. In England, masks are now mandatory in cinemas, theatres and places of worship, but it's not clear if any of the restrictions will be enough to stop the spread, as Juliet Bremner reports. Number 10 Downing Street says it's cancelled its Christmas party this year over concerns about the spread of the Omicron variant. It denied it had anything to do with the alleged party last year, thought to have broken COVID laws. ITV News revealed last night that Boris Johnson's communications director, Jack Doyle, was there and gave out awards. We understand he offered his resignation today, but it wasn't accepted. Downing Street have neither confirmed or denied this. From Westminster, our political correspondent Libby Wiener reports. Next tonight, major police errors and failures probably contributed to the deaths of 3 young men at the hands of a serial killer. An inquest jury found detectives missed repeated opportunities to catch killer Stephen Port, who gave his victims fatal doses of a date rape drug. Outside court, the families of his 4 victims said police failed to take the case seriously because those involved were all gay. The Met apologised for its failings but denied being homophobic. Sejal Carrier has more. There's been another twist in the death of the alpaca called Geronimo, who was suspected of having bovine tuberculosis. A blood test taken after he'd been put down by government officials has failed to confirm he had the disease. That's prompted his owner and campaigners to claim Geronimo shouldn't have been culled after all. Government vets, though, say the inconclusive result didn't mean he was free of TB. Here's our West of England correspondent, Rupert Evelyn. Still to come on the ITV Evening News. But first, the government faces its first big test of what voters think next week in the North Shropshire by-election. It's considered a safe Conservative seat with a majority of almost 23,000. But that was before Owen Paterson was forced to quit as its MP over the lobbying scandal and, of course, a string of other controversies, including the alleged Downing Street Christmas party. Our deputy political editor, Anushka Astana, spoke to locals about whether any of that could change the way they vote. To the United States now, where actor Jussie Smollett has been found guilty of lying to police about an attack he claimed was racist and homophobic. In fact, the former star of TV show Empire staged the attack himself so it could be filmed and posted on social media for publicity. The extraordinary case has made headlines around the world and the actor now faces prison, as Rebecca Barry reports. An online blackmailer has been jailed for 32 years for forcing victims around the world to commit sex offences. Pop star Taylor Swift will have to take centre stage in court to defend herself against claims of plagiarism. The singer-songwriter is accused of taking lyrics for her smash hit Shake It Off from a 2001 song called Players Gonna Play. The case was originally dismissed by a judge, but now it will go to a full jury trial. Here's Yasmin Bottleby. And finally tonight, the runaway camel, which eluded police for almost 24 hours. Whatever that might be. That is all for now. Tom is here later after I'm a Celebrity. From me and all the team, bye-bye.